Grenada, Carriacou, PT, Martinique, my loves. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning to all my Spice Islanders, whichever part of the world you are. Once you have 473 blood flowing through your vein, bless up your whole cells. Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. I am so happy to have you tuning into Good Morning Grenada this morning. It is the 6th day of October 2021. Thank you to all of you, whichever platform you're using, Facebook, YouTube, the website, GBN TV, my loyal listeners of Classic 105, Party Grenada, Go to Fed viewers. Thank you very much for starting your wonderful Wednesday off with us here at the GBN and Classic. All our viewers across the region, whichever part of the Caribbean island chain you are, a spicy Grenadian 473 morning to each and every one of you. Bigging up our viewers and listeners from across the rest of the world, whichever part of the world you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hope you will have a good day, are having a good day, have had a good day. That should cover everybody on this spicy Wednesday morning. We ain't sticking, it's 20 minutes to 7 o'clock. Let's get into this morning's word of the day. All right, this morning's word of the day is lol. Lol. It spells L-O-L-L. Lol. It's a verb which means to droop or hang loosely. It can also mean to act or move in a relaxed or lazy manner. Lol. It has origins similar to another suiting verb, lull, L-U-L-L, which means to cause to rest or sleep. Both probably originated as imitations of the soft sounds people make when resting or trying to soothe someone else to sleep. Loll, L-O-L-L, shares synonyms with a number of verbs including loaf, lounge, and laze. That's the word of the day this morning, lol, L-O-L-L. A verb which often means to droop or hang loosely. It can also mean to act or move in a relaxed or lazy manner. An example of the use of the word: the exhausted dog plopped on the floor with its tongue lolling out. Another example of the use of the word: it was a dreary Saturday and James decided to loll around in his pajamas and catch up on his TV shows. That's the word of the day this morning, lol, L-O-L-L, a verb which often means to droop or hang loosely. It can also mean to act or move in a relaxed or lazy manner. That's the word of the day this morning, aka to chill. When you're feeling lazy on a Sunday afternoon and you just want to lie down and cock up your foot and read a book or watch TV, lol. To droop or hang loosely, or to act or move in a relaxed or lazy manner. That's the word of the day this morning. A simple word. See if you can use it in a sentence. The sentence I'm making up in my mind is not fit for public consumption. Let's go. Let's see what's the thought for today on this wonderful Wednesday. Oh, great. Good thing I caught it before it just spilled out my mouth. Let's see what's the thought of today. The thought of today: magic happens when we stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right. Magic happens when we stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right. Most situations, something somewhere could go wrong. Sometimes everything goes wrong. And that sometimes would hinder us or make us hesitant to do something, start something, go somewhere, make a leap. But you just had to think about what could go right. You just had to think about the end result, the positive result that you're hoping for. Just think of that. And that kind of excitement should propel you to keep trekking or at least start the journey. So stop dwelling on what could go wrong and start thinking of all the things that could go right. Thought of the day: magic happens when we stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right. Think positively. That's the short of the story. That's what I try to do on a daily basis. Anything could go wrong, you know? But once you start to think about what could go right, that should motivate you. All right, we are going to skip what's celebrated today I don't really want to skip it up, but in the interest of time, we need to. But I'm just going to hail up all our plus size people all over the place, men and women. It is Plus Size Appreciation Day. All you fluffy people, all us fluffy people, it's Plus Size Appreciation Day, letting you know that one size doesn't fit all. We're going to celebrate beauty no matter the size it comes in. But it's always exciting and a good thing when you have a little more to love on. That's what the articles say. That's what Blossom say too. It's always exciting to have a little more to love on. So it's Plus Size Appreciation Day. Good morning to all our plus size men and women. Bless up all your, no, bless up we whole self. Big up all yourself. All right, let me go. I ain't sticking too much. Let's go to the COVID-19 dashboard before we take a break for the news. Just an update. I'm starting to feel a little better about the numbers. The active cases are under 700. 697 active cases to be precise. We recorded 111 new recoveries yesterday. Nevertheless, we added 50 new COVID-19 cases, but the active case numbers continue to go down. New cases on a daily basis have been under 100, except I think it was over the weekend we recorded 103, but other than that, for the last week and a half or so, it's been under 100. Deaths continue to be troubling. 165 COVID-19 related deaths so far between January and yesterday. 164 of them were recorded between August and yesterday. The deaths continue to be troubling. In terms of breakdown, 2.4% of the deaths were fully vaccinated patients, 1.2% were partially vaccinated, and 96.4% of the deaths were unvaccinated patients. So let those numbers ring in your head a little bit. Fully vaccinated population, 25,595 people. Partially vaccinated, 9,751. That's what the latest COVID-19 dashboard looks like. And now we're going to get ready for the morning edition of news. For those of you on radio and those of you on our visual platforms, we bring you highlights of last evening's newscast. It's Good Morning Grenada on another wonderful Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Let's get tough on breed your larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Can hurt us locally, hurt us globally. To all the buyers, ask for license from all produce sellers. To all people, 300 for police for them thieving fellas. To all farmers, don't steal produce from your brother. Then you sell it to traffickers, hotels and street vendors. Nah, man. Let's do all we can to stop breed larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report breed larceny, call 300.
Get Rubigas. Get cooking. Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas?
Get Rubis, get going.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 418-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Fallage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Now for the news in detail. Tonight we're moving from the hillside to the beachfront. The south of the island is popularly recognized as the country's hotel belt, and just about any service one may see could be found in the Grandlands area. Now there's another addition to that popular stretch of landmass, a prison close to the beach.
The Grandlands Beach is internationally famous for its long stretch of pristine white sand and is encircled by a chain of hotels and prime real estate properties. This is the atmosphere that some prisoners are waking up to daily, as their residence is now the St. George's University building, nestled on the beach close to a 5-star resort and in now stalled Kempton Kawana Bay Hotel project. According to the September 24th edition of the Government Gazette, the cells in Building 3 of the Grandlands campus of the St. George's University at Grandlands are hereby declared to be prisons and lockups with effect from the 24th day of September 2021. Public Relations Officer for the National Democratic Congress, Claudette Joseph, who is a lawyer by profession, can't rationalize the government's decision.
I find that incredible. I find it incredible, Blossom, because, you know, every decision, every action starts with an idea. And obviously, somewhere along the line, someone, for some reason, gave those responsible for national security in Grenada, that's the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister himself, and the Commissioner of Police and so on, gave them the idea. Somebody came up with an idea that a prison should be housed on Grandlands Beach.
Speaking on GBN's To The Point program on Tuesday morning, Ms. Joseph called on the government to reverse this decision.
We think that it's a really bad idea. It suggests people in authority who are bankrupt of ideas. It points to the obvious need and the dire need for new leaders at the helm, new thinking, because I don't know what could justify or rationalize the placement of prison facilities in that location.
However, Attorney General Dia Forrester said there was a need for the action.
In relation to the prison facility at the Grandlands campus, there was a need to have additional facilities to house prisoners who may have tested positive for COVID-19 before having them admitted to Her Majesty's prison at Richmond Hill. Now, that is the reason why we have this new facility at where SGU formerly held its campus at Grandlands. I'm unable to speak, for instance, to the number of cells at the facility. I will have to revert to the Commissioner to provide additional details in relation to the facility and how it operates and other matters relating to the same.
The regulation is cited as Prisons Declaration, Grandlands Prisons and Lockups, Order 2021, and it states that the facility shall be known as the Grandlands Prisons and Lockups. Cherry and Blackman, Stephen, GBN News.
Good news. We have some good news for you. People here are breathing a sigh of relief as a month of stringent restrictions are coming to an end. Government's measures over the past weeks to stem the spread of the coronavirus appears to have had some success. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell outlined easements in a national address on Tuesday. He announced that the numbers of positive cases have been declining drastically, leading to the changes being made.
Retail stores have been given the green light to resume regular business operations. The announcement was made by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell during his address to the nation on Tuesday. According to Prime Minister Mitchell, the decision forms part of efforts to return the island to a state of normalcy.
Therefore, effective October 5th and continuing until October 19th, the nightly curfew will continue, but will be adjusted from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m., not 5 a.m. as done before. The no movement weekends will be discontinued.
Those measures over the past couple of weeks, the PM noted, have proven to have served to an extent to curb the spread of the coronavirus.
Retail stores across the country will now be allowed to resume normal operations, but we encourage store managers to maintain 50% capacity in the store at all times as a maximum, and ensure that workers and patrons alike are following the recommended protocols. These are proper wearing of masks, appropriate physical distancing, avoiding large gatherings, and regular hand sanitization.
Additionally, operators in the food, accommodation, and fitness industries have also been given reasons to smile, however, with some very strict specifications, as vaccination holds the key for some businesses reopening.
And acting on the general recommendation, employees in the food service, accommodation, fitness, beauty, child and elderly care sectors must be fully vaccinated, or in cases where they have received only one dose, the second dose must be administered within specific period after the resumption of operations.
Christina John, GBN News.
And let's move now to some sad news. The people of St. Andrew and surrounding areas are mourning the loss of a stalwart as the deadly coronavirus has claimed the life of Mr. Peter Bain of Grenada in St. Andrew. Mr. Bain is well known for his many contributions and the community and the country as a whole through his cultural and other platforms, impacting many lives positively as he did yeoman service to the country. More in this report.
The parish of St. Andrew is grief-stricken as Grenada lost another icon on Monday night to COVID-19. Peter Bain was not only known for his humanitarian work, but also his contribution to Grenada's culture. Bain is the founder of the Rainbow City Mass Band and the St. Andrew's Mother's Day annual Queen Show. He was also the owner of the popular Bain's nightclub in the town of Grenville. Many remembered him as one who would always lend a helping hand to those in need.
Well, I know Mr. Peter Bain a very long time because part of my school life in St. Andrews Anglican Secondary, he was there in a much higher form than me. He was a good athlete and everything, a good sportsman. And coming to the culture, was a very energetic man in the culture. He created the Mother's Day Queen Show. He have one of the best mass band in Grenada and everything, you know. He will be well missed by the people of St. Andrews and Grenada as a whole, you know.
He was a good man and everybody was their favorite. That was a favorite to everybody around the place.
I will miss him. I always take part in Mother's Day Queen Show. Anytime he have that come up, I'll always be there. So I know I'll miss him.
Carnival is not much fun with the Queen Show. Always to put out myself to go and sit down and enjoy myself. I'm very much deeply and grieved of the loss of a very good friend of mine. Whenever he passed around, he always passed to look for Cassie. Even his wife, Miss Nola, we all go a long way. God bless him, may he rest in peace.
Bain passed away on Monday night at the General Hospital where he was battling COVID-19. It's a difficult time for his wife, Mrs. Nola Bain, and the children, Janelle, Akido, and Jamar Bain. As they try to come to terms with the loss of the man they considered the pillar of their home.
Words, seriously. What I could express my dad. My dad is someone that he lived his life to help people.
Dad was a humanitarian. He always taught us to be humble, to stay humble. We're going to pick up that torch that he left, lighting that torch of love and compassion for humankind, and carry that torch and carry that legacy.
It's not just me. I didn't just lose a father. You know, the community of Granbras lost a father. He was active in society, culture, sports, and the whole of St. Andrews in particular lost a father, not just us here.
I just want to say a special thank you to the two nurses at the General Hospital, three as a matter of fact, who took the opportunity to give me special love, even if when they were not working in the ward.
Mr. Bain is also survived by his 86-year-old mother.
As I say, I don't know how to do without him, make out without him. But God is so good, and merciful. I ask for strength.
Mr. Peter Bain was also the brother of Government Minister Yolan Bain Hosford and son of the late Norris Bain, who died on October 19, 1983, during the revolutionary upheaval. For GBN News, I am Rena Pear Thomas reporting.
We here at the GBN would like to extend our condolences to his family and to all of Grenada, because we know, as mentioned in the story, and even without having heard that in the story, he was somebody who touched Grenada in various ways, a businessman, a cultural icon. And so to Minister Yolan Bain Hosford, her mom, his wife, his children, and to all persons, we extend our sincerest condolences. To every sad story, there is another that causes you probably to have hope. While the coronavirus may have taken the lives of many, there's a centenarian who has more to celebrate today, as she not only reached the 100 milestone, but she kicked COVID-19 to the curb to do so. Rena Pear spoke with her and observed as the family was in celebratory mood today.
Joan Abraham of Grand Roy St. John celebrated her 100th birthday on Tuesday in style, as her grand and great-grandchildren gathered to sing happy birthday to her while showering her with gifts and goodies. But Miss Abraham is not just any centenarian. She is a survivor of COVID-19. Just a few weeks ago, the then 99-year-old contracted the virus and emerged victorious from the battle. Joan still has most of her senses, with a spicy personality. She spoke to GBN on her special day.
So you are 100 years today. You happy?
Of course.
And I see all these people are new. Is these people?
Well, it's all the people are accustomed. When they pass in, they call me and other things, so. And they respect me.
So, well, I want to know what I could do to reach 100, and I don't want to tell me the secret.
I can't be bothered to tell you nothing. Thank God, I live in steel.
What's your favorite food?
Breadfruit. Got the breadfruit tree right in front of you.
Like it?
Good.
Miss Abraham is one of 11 children with only 3 remaining siblings. She is also the mother of 5. Her grandnephew Eon Abraham and other family members recalled some of their memories with her and said that it was a miracle that she overcame a virus that many younger people could not.
I have to be proud and honor because of the mold she's instilling in me and the rest of the family, my brothers, cousins, and everybody. And she was a pillar in the community because she was in the church. And thank God for the life and the strength. And now she come and she contract COVID in her age, right? And a lot of people didn't make it, right? And here she is today, sitting there, a gem, I call it a gem.
You know, it's not everybody that gets to live to see 100, and that's a remarkable milestone to make. I hope I could reach it one day, and you know, I learned a lot from that woman every day, and I spent a huge part of my life growing up with her, and such a remarkable woman.
The family all sang happy birthday to Miss Joan Abraham and wished for many more years to celebrate with them.
Happy birthday to my great-grandmother. I hope you live more to see. Happy birthday, I'm Joan.
May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you.
GBN News, I'm Rena Pear-Thomas reporting.
And network news continues this evening, and we're going to St. David. An infant's early stage of life is being disrupted by seizures. Now, her mom is seeking your help in finding out the cause and helping to give her a more comfortable life. GBN's Christelina John has been speaking to Miss Whitney Davidson.
A child, and it's so hard to see that she's a baby and she has to go through this, So I'm just here to just ask the public for, any little assistance we can get right now, financial wise. I know it's a pandemic, I know it's tough, but any little help we can get right now would be really appreciated.
A mother's plea as she seeks your help for her 10-month-old baby Azalea Francis. From the tender age of 4 months, this infant's life has been rocked by constant seizures. According to the baby's mother, Whitney Davidson of Beaton St. David, numerous tests and scans at the General Hospital did not reveal the cause of her daughter's triggers.
The time it happened, we rushed her to the General Hospital. And then we had to do a right away emergency CT scan to make sure nothing was going on with the brain. The CT scan came back normal, everything was okay. And then they had put her on the medication phenobarbital. So she was on that for a while, but then as time goes by, she'd been having too much seizure in a day. So she would have sometimes 8 seizures within one day, back to back.
A seizure can be described as a burst of uncontrolled electrical activity between brain cells, also called neurons or nerve cells, that causes temporary abnormalities in muscle tone or movements, stiffness, twitching or limpness, behaviors, sensation or states of awareness. A seizure occurs when one or more parts of the brain have a burst of abnormal electrical signals that interrupt normal brain signals. Anything that interrupts the normal connection between nerve cells in the brain can cause a seizure. To determine the root cause, baby Azalea must travel to Barbados.
They say they can't really tell us what's the cause because her seizure normally happens when you have a fever, but she don't have no fever at all, so they can't determine what the cause of her seizure. So in order for us to know what's going on, we have to go to Barbados to do a EGG and an MRI. That's the only thing can confirm right now what's causing it. We was in a general hospital just Sunday gone. She had 3 episodes Sunday, and then she had 7 at home, and then when we reached on peds, she had 1, so she had 8 in total.
Ms. Davidson told GBN that she is worried about job security.
I guess so. At first I would just hold her and I would just pray, and say, God guide me, so, but it's stressful because sometimes, like we don't come out to the hospital, she's doing fine now. Then before the month could reach, I have to either I can't go to work and I have to rush her to the doctor or the hospital depending on how much time she have it. So it's kind of frustrating because sometimes I'm in and out of work.
A GoFundMe page has been set up in the name of Whitney Davidson to assist baby Azalea. Christelina John, GBN News.
And let's move now from health to legal. New arrangements have been put in place to guide the procedures at the Magistrates Court. We get the details from Gerard Joseph.
Virtual hearings will now become a part of the new norm in magistrates' courts in all districts in Grenada. The Magistracy Remote Hearings Rules 2021 will soon be launched by the Government of Grenada to handle the high volume of daily cases as citizens seek justice in person within the judicial system. When the magistracy resumes, court hearings may be either virtual or physical. Attorney General Dia Forrester says the virtual hearings will reduce physical interactions as the country is amid a pandemic.
Consequently, the soon-to-be introduced Magistracy Remote Hearing Rules shall facilitate remote court hearings of magistrate court matters as deemed appropriate by the adjudicating magistrate. It will apply to all types of matters before the magistrates' courts, including civil, criminal, traffic, and family proceedings.
Forrester says gone will be the need for the influx of people at magistrates' courts, as the virtual hearings will apply the same principles as a face-to-face hearing.
The primary media via which remote hearings will be conducted would include video conferencing platforms like Zoom platform, the Teams platform. It may be by telephone conference or such other media as may be indicated on the court summons. Individuals will continue to be served with a summons to attend court, and that summons will have notes accompanying it, giving details as to what to do to be able to participate in a remote hearing.
The Attorney General notes the district magistrate courts have been retrofitted with the necessary equipment to facilitate remote or virtual hearings.
The government is particularly mindful that at the magistrates' court level, numerous individuals are self-represented. Being conscious of that fact, provisions will be made for self-represented litigants to attend the magistrates' court, where facilities are in place for them to participate in a virtual hearing.
Other changes have also been made to enhance the safety of individuals attending the court to reduce exposure to COVID-19. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
Today's news conference, it was also announced by Tourism Minister Dr. Clarence Modest-Kerwin that the government is reducing the cost of PCR tests. Heeding the outcry of Grenadians at home and in the diaspora as well as visitors, the government is now bending on the charge for the tests.
Perhaps for one individual, it is not too bad, but when you have a family, it becomes quite a burden. And we have looked at what other islands are doing, and we're saying if they can do it and they can succeed in what their objective, we think we can do it too. So, like everything else, we're going gradual. So I am announcing now that Cabinet has approved a reduction in the PCR test, which was 105 somewhere there, a reduction to less than half. It will now be $50.
And in case you missed it, let's look exactly at the figures as outlined by the minister today.
The original fee was, and I have it here, it was $150 US, which amounted to 405 EC. So now the proposed fee is 50 US, which amounts to 135 EC. So it's about 33%, 1/3 of the original fee.
And thanks for staying with us this evening. As mentioned earlier in the newscast, people here are breathing a little easier this evening as the government announces an easing of restrictions which were imposed last month. The country went into 4 weekends of lockdown as the island experienced the first deadly wave of COVID-19 cases. Access to beaches was one of the areas affected. Yesterday, GBN's Gerard Joseph spoke with beachgoers about how the period of lockdown impacted them.
Around 2 weeks ago, restrictions covering the access to beaches were lifted from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. Access to swimming and exercise was allowed under Regulation 14, whereby persons were expected to maintain a 6 feet physical distance. GBN journeyed to the world-famous Grenada Beach to gauge the opinions of regular beachgoers.
Yes, the restrictions have affected me. Not to the point where I would just melt and die away. I understand we got to do what we got to do. We got to be safe. But for me, the water, the beach is essential. You know, and I'm just happy that the government or the people see it as halfway essential. So to 1 o'clock is good, to 10 o'clock was good, but I need the water.
The beach house, in view of what's going on at the moment with the COVID situation, I mean, I can understand why the beach has been closed. The times that they've closed them. As far as I'm concerned, I come down for exercise mainly, and I don't need very long, so I'm not too bothered about it.
It's not really affected me that bad, you know, like we're staying safe. I mean, it's probably affecting some of the vendors most of all. I think seeing that we only got a few hours to spend on the day, I think the people should be allowed to sell the beers. You know, like everyone has to survive. We're here for a few hours. There's no reason we couldn't get a beer. The bars are closed. we social distancing.
New regulations are expected this week, and with a dramatic decrease in the number of cases of COVID-19, many are hopeful that an ease in restrictions may be forthcoming.
I don't think the government is doing enough to help the people in many ways, because a lot of the people are really catching the hell. There's nothing to do. Stay at home on the weekend, you lock down, you come to the beach in a few hours and nobody sells anything. You go into the city and it's like a ghost town. How long is this going to continue? I hope it doesn't go on for much longer. At the same time, we need to be safe, stay social distancing, and wear masks. And I think we'll be all right, man. Given another few weeks, I hope.
It is a part of my life, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's where I sit and have my conversations with the Creator. So it's everything. For me, it's like the top reason I moved here. Became a citizen because of the water. That's why I was fighting so hard to become a citizen, because I needed the beach. I really needed it. I could have went and lived anywhere, but this is essential for me. So I'm just happy that they still see it somewhat essential. 1 o'clock is letting me know that you see that it's important to somebody. So we just want to be safe, and hopefully they'll open it all the way up, because I love to come whenever I think about it. I don't like to just come when somebody say, okay, you can come. But I know how to be obedient, and right now we have to do that.
No picnics, parties, or other gatherings are also not allowed as part of the regulations. The regulations came into effect on September 21st and ends at midnight on October 5th. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
Have at least a 3-month supply of prescribed medications on hand in the event of an emergency or disaster. Keep medications in a sealed, labeled container that you can carry with you at a moment's notice if you need to evacuate. A message from the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council in collaboration with the Ministry of Health with support from the Pan American Health Organization.
Government, private sector, civil society, academia, farmers, the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization, invites you to World Food Day 2021, the virtual edition, under the theme, Our Actions Are Our Future, Better Production, Better Nutrition, a Better Environment, and a Better Life. Join us October 15 from 9:30 a.m. via Zoom, Facebook, GIS, and Real FM as we recognize and celebrate the many successes of the agriculture sector.
Imagine having the home of your dreams. Imagine investing in that piece of property you can call your own. Imagine finally doing that home improvement project you've always been thinking about. It's time to stop imagining and start doing. Let the GUT Credit Union help you take the first step with fantastic rates, affordable repayments, and reduced legal fees. Make the move. Get better terms on your mortgage. Use your home equity to make those dreams a reality. Act now. There's really no place like home. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Consumers Guarantee Insurance advises the public of a temporary change to their office hours, effective September 28. The new hours are Mondays to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., Fridays, 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. These office hours will continue until further notice. As we continue to cope with this pandemic, all are reminded to remain safe and follow all COVID-19 protocols. We thank you for your understanding and cooperation.
Life's moving moments don't always work as planned. That emotional hug during the graduation ceremony, sudden sightings of old schoolmates during a shopping trip, things can go a little off track quickly. With 15-way voice and video calls, group chats with up to 1,000 persons, and free messaging, Bib helps you share the happiness and be prepared whenever life hits. Keep the good times going. Share it on Bib. Bib, more than just a messaging app. Download Bib today.
gas-powered Ultratech gasoline and diesel. Available only at Rubis stations.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada, 19 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Those of you just getting out of bed and joining us, happy to have you. Envy your few extra hours of sleep. But don't worry, by the time you deep in work, you got somewhere in home. So, it's a little give and take going on. So thank you, and thank you for joining us. And those of you who stuck with us, thank you for your patience. This morning, it is... we call it a special kinda Good Morning Grenada. I do not have a guest per se because I would like to rebroadcast an excerpt of a discussion that was held on Sunday. It was facilitated by the Office of Diaspora Affairs, and it focused on mental health. And y'all know I have an interest in ensuring people keep their mental health going and keep healthy mentally. And this discussion, I thought, was one of the good ones that we have heard and seen recently, especially as we go through this time. So I thought this would be an opportunity for me to share an excerpt of the discussion. The physical impact of COVID-19, it is an important conversation, and so too is the mental, emotional, and psychological impacts. So we are going to join excerpts. Members on the panel include social worker Shane Joseph, psychotherapist Alethea Cador, clinical therapist Dr. Leo Edwards, and the facilitator is Keston Henry. So I'm going to take you to an excerpt of that discussion right as at this moment. So thank you very much and stay tuned. It was an interesting one. Let's go to that.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm in the presence of some intelligent minds. But before I start, I want to read something that I wrote on the issue. The COVID-19 pandemic has created many challenges to mental health on the national level as well as international. Internationally, it has been reported that the mental health of persons has worsened since the start of the pandemic response. Locally in Grenada, we can say the same. Social distancing, isolation, quarantine, and even homeschooling have been associated with unfavorable mental health consequences. The public health response that was precipitated by COVID-19 was unlike any other seen in modern history. In Grenada, Carrick, and Petit Martinique, many people have been directed to quarantine or self-isolate, and on various occasions have been put into lockdown, which would have resulted in a decrease in the number of people with the disease. But the psychiatric and social sequelae related to containment would have increased. Things such as depression, anxiety, trauma-related symptoms, intimate partner violence, and child abuse. The topic is one really broached by the public, either through fear, taboo, or lack of knowledge, but I think definitely a dearth of education on the topic of mental health and well-being. There are certain groups which are more at risk of COVID-19 related mental health issues, and included but not limited to persons with biological and psychosocial stressors, and also our beloved frontline healthcare worker professionals who battle day in and day out to save lives, to help others in this difficult time, lacking sleep or quality time with their families. Children in the juvenile system or care homes, pregnant women, older adults, persons with serious mental health illnesses like schizophrenia and dementia. Homeless and incarcerated people are in very vulnerable positions for mental health symptoms. They may be more at risk of infection, increased risk of isolation, fewer social support, and decreased or no access to mental health care services. Now, we'll be looking at issues related to mental health and well-being in Grenada, and these experts in mental and social care took time out of their schedules to educate us on these issues, and for this we appreciate them and hope that we can take from this a consummate discernment of mental health and well-being, and that we use this knowledge in a positive way, reaching out, listening, caring, and helping our people in our Tri-Island nation. Now, panel, I want to thank you for being here, and I want to start off with something basic. So, Ms. Cador, I want you to start off with the definition or a definition of mental health and well-being.
Oh, that's a great question. And I was just looking at that before I came on today. And I have a clear definition of the difference between mental health, mental wellness, and mental illness. So I wanted to go into the first one first, which is mental health. And the way that it's defined is your overall being, your emotional, your social, your psychological well-being, how you think, feel, and act about certain things that are going on in your life, and how you relate to others based on some of those emotional and social and psychological issues. And what I would say, for example, would be, how are you managing? How are you doing? How's your eating, sleeping, and functioning? How are you relating to people that are in your life and that are close to you? Mental wellness to me is easily defined as the overall activities that you do to manage your day-to-day stress. And what are those things that you do that keep you emotionally well, psychologically well, and socially connected to the people in your life and the people that you work with? And mental illness to me is when those specific areas, your emotional or your social, or there was some trauma or predisposed intergenerational family issues that cause you to be a little bit unbalanced. You're having some difficulties managing your day-to-day activities and your overall wellness, and you are developing something that you would actually go and see a doctor for to give you that diagnosis of a mental illness.
Thank you very much. Dr. Edwards, I would like to ask you, what issues of mental health are affecting Grenadians? Having done a study, your paper in Grenada, what issues can you tell us relating to mental health are affecting Grenadians?
Thank you, Keston. I'm really happy to be here. Big up to the people with us and to the members of GBSS, my alma mater. So I think Alicia's definition of mental health is spot on. So in response to your question, I just want to put it in a bit of context. So think about drawing a line on the road. So mental health is on a spectrum, is what I'm saying. So think about you draw a line in the road. On one end of the line is this notion of excelling. And on the other hand of this on the line is this notion of you in crisis. And between those lines are either you're thriving, either you're struggling, or you're surviving. So in Grenada, given the fact that mental health, and I don't think we can have this conversation not without making sense of the stigma. I think when we hear about mental health in Grenada, automatically what we think about is the crazy house and crazy people. And so the stigma of that, I think, is in the way of our community making sense of their mental health. Given we just went through a pandemic, actually we're in the midst of a pandemic, and given that people have lost so much, a lot of death, loss of income, etc., people's mental health must be impacted. So in Grenada, although it's perhaps not diagnosed, I would assume, as is evident in the developed North, like North America, that Grenadians are dealing with things like depression, so change in their mood, or perhaps even issues around anxiety. So this excessive worry and loss of interest would clearly affect individuals' mental health. So although it's anecdotal, and we have no evidence to suggest how many people, I think going from the evidence globally, and given that this pandemic has been pervasive and in fact really, really detrimental, I would assume Grenadians are dealing with issues around anxiety and depression. But I think what makes it even more compound is the stigma that surrounds that, where individuals perhaps are less likely to make sense of the emotions, their thoughts, and their feelings. I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards. Mr. Joseph, I have a question. How can we address the taboo issue of mental health in Grenada?
Thank you very much, Keston, and it's good to be here with my esteemed colleagues and to really chat on what I would deem a very, very important narrative or a topic that is of concern not only in Grenada, but certainly throughout the entire world. And I think building on what my esteemed colleague has stated, Dr. Leo, we first must be able to get into that place where we begin to appreciate and begin to value of the reality and the impact that mental health is having on us as an individual, on us as a community, on us as a country, and by extension globally. So firstly, before we can even talk about solution or even finding the necessary strategies to address that, we must first come to a place of ownership and acceptance that mental health is real, it is very evident, and it is and will continue to affect the people in Grenada, throughout where we are here in North America, and the rest of the world. That would involve, one, we must begin to address the issue of the taboo, as Dr. Leo referenced, and the stigmatization. Having a mental health diagnosis is not the end of the world. It is certainly something that we must be able to begin, firstly, not only to just take away the taboo and take away the stigmatization, but recognize it as one of the challenges that we are faced with in society. It is also important that even as we begin to destigmatize and we begin to challenge the taboo, we must come to a place whereby we begin to realize that it doesn't only affect one set of persons within one particular ethnic background or within a particular race or denomination or income. It affects every one of us. It is also important as well that before we can even talk about addressing it, we must begin to recognize the extent, because in some ways, there are days that we might be thriving, there are days that we might be able to self-regulate, and there are days that we are just at our lowest point. We are just not able to deal with that reality of the depression, the anxiety, the inability to manage the stress and the worries, and most importantly, and even more evident, the reality of managing the grief and the loss. Because every single day we are awakened by the reality, who died today, who is in hospital, and it's very real. So an acceptance and an intentional dialogue around that, I believe, is where the dialogue starts.
Much appreciated, Mr. Joseph. Now, we know that the pandemic has affected each and every one of us. And I have some questions relating to the pandemic from a mental health perspective, right? So I'll start with you, Ms. Kado. And I want to ask, how can one stay mentally healthy while practicing social distancing or working from home?
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that, the similar thing that Shane was talking about in the fact that, COVID has lifted the veil and revealed a lot of things that people have been struggling with. And it's not like the death news and all these stressors have not been reported before. That's a habitual thing that we do. Talk about these things in our life cycle. These things happen in life. But what I found with COVID was the fact that it was a global issue that everybody was facing at the same time. It wasn't something that we could have just turned ourselves away from and separated ourselves from, because everything that we were doing, whether it was work, school, or our day-to-day activities, were ceased. There was hardly anything happening at that time. And I think that's what really impacted people, was the fact that they were so used to having a day-to-day routine that they were familiar with or comfortable with, or maybe it could have caused them some issues. And now those things were removed, which caused people to have to really look at themselves, look at their family, and really start to have a more fuller understanding of what was impacting them prior to these daily routines. And what I've noticed in my practice is that the reason why people were experiencing so much grief and loss was because they were in a position where things were taken away from them without their control. And that loss of control caused a lot of uncertainty and a lot of worry for a lot of people. And depending on the stage of your life, whether you were, just going to school for the first time or entering high school and you had to switch to remote. Those social interactions and those social engagements were no longer there. And people started to become worried because they felt those losses were impacting them in a greater way than they thought of before. And I think because of those losses, of removal of those, well, I would say things that are your responsibility and obligation, and some of those things that were distractions. And instead of us really focusing on our internal health or our wellness, we would push it down and just continue on. And I felt that having a break and just removing us from those outside stimuluses really caused us to take a look at ourselves. And for some people, that really got them worried. The fear of being alone, the fear of the uncertainty, the fear of not being able to get the resources and the things that they needed to thrive. And that really impacted them. So just to summarize, it was a great impact. People did see it as loss. And I think because of the fact that they didn't have those distractions, it caused them to really think about what they were going to do without the things that they needed to thrive and survive.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Scudder. Dr. Edwards, what I want to ask, considering the situation with the pandemic and how things are going, how does one work with or interact with family or friends who are not taking the pandemic seriously?
So that's a very, very, very good question, and I'm glad you asked. I think a lot of people, not just in Grenada, but globally, are dealing in what we call cognitive dissonance. And that is when you hold two conflicting ideas, two conflicting beliefs, and perhaps even as well, two conflicting behaviors. Take, for example, you may be aware that smoking kills, right? But if you're a smoker, you'll smoke even knowing that smoking can kill. So that's the dissonance. You would still smoke even if you know it can kill you. And the same is true for COVID. I think a lot of people think COVID-19 is a hoax. COVID-19 is a conspiracy because of this dissonance that they hold. And when you feel uncomfortable, when we become uncomfortable, and it becomes more difficult to hold the conflicting thoughts, the conflicting cognition, or the conflicting behavior, we'll do what we can, whatever means necessary to sort of find distance and to justify and to make sense. So individuals in Grenada who are thinking COVID is a hoax and so the vaccine isn't necessary, I don't think, first off, let me backtrack. I don't think everyone who has concern about taking the vaccination is anti-vax. And I don't think everybody who has concerns about taking the COVID-19 vaccine is part of a conspiracy theory. So I want to be very clear. And for that reason, I think we have to be very careful and hold people in compassion when we're having these conversations around becoming vaccinated. And the reason I say this is cognitive dissonance, so the conflicting ideas that I talked to you about, a couple things can contribute to that. And the first is new information. If it's something brand new, you weren't aware of it, that can really create this distance, this conflicting idea. So new information, because it's novel, means that it'll be more difficult for people to make sense of it, because it's going against what is routine-based. Another prime example is even the mask. Some folks wearing a mask when we're walking around isn't generally how we show up and live our life. It's new, it's different. So new information, and I think the second, forced compliance. Forced compliance can get folks in this place of rebellion. That's just how our mind works. We're built to be defensive. And so I think, and not just from a clinical place, but from, a human place, if you have an individual who has genuine concern, I think it's about really holding the person really soft and really compassionately. And in the process of that, doing exactly what the organizers of this event did, providing an opportunity to challenge those cognitive dissonance that you may hold with new and credible information.
And I think I just wanted to add something to what Dr. Leo said around the challenging of the cognitive dissonance that exists. Part of the peculiarities with dealing with mental health is that we must look at it from not just the mental health, but I think Alti have already alluded to that the mental health is now linking to the fact that we are challenged by other economic challenges of unemployment. We are faced with the reality of persons in a state of uncertainty with regards to the direct impact that COVID has caused with regards to school and children, the new way of having to be 6 feet apart and be in social distancing. And these are the things that Dr. Leo was referring to. But I wanted to just step it up one more and just be able to say to us that even going back to the intersection of COVID, mental health, the stigma, we have to get into a place where we begin to not necessarily normalize, but recognize that mental health is something real. Mental health is something that is very evident. And now that the veil has been lifted, as Althea put it, we're now in a place whereby the behaviors, the attitudes, and the symptoms that we are seeing manifested is now very much more pervasive. And also, because of that, persons are not able to manage and self-regulate and even deal with the reality of what this compounded situation is now because of COVID-19. So think about before you were struggling. Now that you put COVID in the mix, think about how much more difficult it is to manage.
Thank you very much. Now, as we're on this topic, I want to ask you something as well, Mr. Joseph. Now, how can one deal with the anxiety of having now to go into a public place like a supermarket or to pay bills with the whole COVID thing, and you have that fear, you have that worry in you? How can you deal with that now?
Recognizing our responses towards the trauma and recognizing our responses towards the incident or the thing that is causing us to be fearful or causing us to be apprehensive or causing us to be in a place where we are going into probably fear or even probably not wanting to leave our homes because I am afraid I'll be infected or afraid that I might catch COVID. Recognize what is happening physiologically. What is happening to your body? What is your body saying to you? Someone is coming too close, stay far. What is happening? Recognize that and recognize that this is real and this is very present. And as you begin to recognize that reality, you would also begin to realize, am I able to manage this or am I not able to manage this? And this is where the ability for us to appreciate our grounding, our strategizing to sort of regulate our emotions and our thoughts, because it is very present. Therefore, as we begin to touch base with self, and as we begin to recognize what the body is telling us, not only in the physiological, but what is happening in the cognitive, we must begin to recognize fear may exist. And there might be some persons, Keston, who are not in the state of fear. They just go into the supermarket without a mask, without any social distancing, and here we are seeing the two extremities. So as we begin to recognize that, we must become in a place where we begin to do the intentional thing of ensuring, as I think I heard Dr. Leo mention that in one of these other programs, you begin to put on your mask first and you begin to do the social distancing. I am aware and I'm fully cognizant that we are not able to change other persons or to do the control over others, but we control ourselves. We social distance, we put on our mask, and the only control that we have is self-control. The other piece that we want to be able to do with regards to the anxiety and the fear is to recognize it know it is happening, and then we will begin to develop, and I'm sure later on we'll talk about that in terms of the responses that we can put in place, because every person and everybody's response will be very different. And I would like to ask my other colleagues to chime in as well.
Well, I definitely, go ahead, Leo, if you want.
I think is identifying that if you feel worried and scared, that is totally appropriate and normal. Yep. To feel scared and concerned about going in public. Your experience changed. The way you show up, like I mentioned, changed. So I think first identifying, you know what, I really don't feel like going outside. I'm really worried. Identifying those thoughts and feelings, making sense of it. And I suppose we'll get there at some point. And then thinking about how can I deal with this now that I identify that I'm having these thoughts and feelings. And so you can do breathing. You can perhaps take someone with you. You can probably move slowly from your house to the yard, and then from the yard so gradually. So there's a number of practical things I think you can do to deal with the social anxiety that shows up, recognizing it's normal, and then putting some measurable practical things in place, I think would work really well.
And I agree with you, Leo. And I just want people to realize that not all thoughts are facts. And we do have thoughts and we do think things. What is also something that I want people to get, to be comfortable with and be mindful with is not everybody can wear a mask. It could be for financial reasons. They cannot afford to have a continual change of masks all the time because that does cut into their budget. We also have toddlers under the age of 4 that are not wearing masks, and there are some people, because of their trauma that's happened to them in the past, covering their mouth brings up other issues that they have dealt with in the past that have caused them some serious concern, which also leads to an increase in anxiety. And I just want people to be aware of that we cannot start judging people and thinking that just because they don't have one, aren't they following the rules? Well, we have to realize that there are specific people, because of certain reasons, they cannot follow all the protocols. And that's why I agree with what Shane and Leo said, that, sometimes you have to just focus on what you can do and what you can be in control of. And if you do have younger children in the home, this is a great time to start talking about, different perspectives and what their ideas are and thoughts are around the virus, and also around wearing masks and keeping themselves safe. Because we know that when we go on a plane, what do they tell us about masks? Do you put it on the other person? No. You have to make sure that you're covered and you're okay first before you can help other people. So by role modeling and setting the example in the home and with other people that are responsible for other people in their care, that is a discussion that they need to have, is, guys, how are we going to manage this? And yes, let's regulate our emotions and let's just be mindful with how we're practicing our social distancing, why other people may have some difficulties not following through with some of the protocols. And it's not because they're anti-vaxxers or they're defiant of rules. It's because of medical, psychological reasons they cannot do it. So I always try to keep my intentions clear when I am out in the community too, because even though we are professionals, we also have to keep ourselves safe because we are in the business of helping others. So I'm really aware of those dynamics, and I try to be intentional in how I'm practicing, and also mindful that maybe because I can, it doesn't mean that other people can.
And that's going to bring us to the end of the excerpt that I'm sharing with you this morning as Grenadians come to discuss mental health in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. If you want to catch the full program, it is shared on the GBN Facebook page, or you can always go to Office of the Diaspora Facebook page, Diaspora Affairs Facebook page, and you can catch the full program in its entirety. But that's where we're going to end it for now, as we take a quick quick break and come back and join Just School Media for this morning's Traffic Cam. This is Good Morning Grenada on Classic and GBN.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Let's join Just School Media for this morning's Traffic Cam. Right now he is in Belmont on the main road. So far so good, no traffic. Let's hear what's happening officially out there.
From Paddock, we head into Tantine and we'll be going up Lotus Lane. There's a bit of traffic coming down Lotus Lane this morning, but not congested as yet. Smooth flow of traffic. To all the listeners of GBN Radio and those on GBN TV, we are heading up Lotus Lane and a smooth flow of traffic. We are at the top of Lotus Lane, that intersection that intercedes Parade, Maras Hill, and Lucas Street. And now we are heading down Maras Hill, and
we are seeing a smooth flow of traffic coming up Maras Hill. Just outside of the Westmoreland Secondary School. But all school is online at the moment. On a normal day, you are seeing here busy with traffic dropping off students, but not today. For those of you just joined me on Maras Hill. Encourage you to, although there is lockdown weekend has been removed, but we still have to follow the protocols, people. We do not have to relax. We still have to follow the protocol. Wear our masks, sanitize, keep our distance, and also get vaccinated. We have to do our part, people. We got to learn to live with this COVID-19 virus. It's here for a while, so we have to learn to adjust and adapt for the safety of ourselves, our family, and for the safety of our country. Now we are at the Tempe Monge roundabout. So we head on up to Monge. Smooth flow of traffic this morning. And we continue to offer our deepest condolences to all those who have lost their loved one during this week, even last night. May God comfort you during this difficult time. We know it's very difficult at this time for you and your family, but may God comfort you during this difficult time. As we head on up to Monge.
Thank you once again to Junior Checkley, Just School Media, for this morning's traffic cam. Monday and Wednesday is 7:45 a.m. Giving you an idea of what the traffic is like on the outside. So far, there seems to be traffic heading down Monge toward the Tempe area. So though it looks like it may a long line of traffic heading down that way. So it's flowing, but let's see how long it will flow for. So keep that in mind, those of you who are using that part of the island to get to and from your destination, heading toward Tempe area using the Monge Main Road. There's a line of traffic there. It's flowing smoothly for now, but you never know what would happen. Heading toward Bolio area, it's a clean road, save and except for Junior's vehicle. It's clean heading toward the Bolio area. So keep that in mind to all our road users. And this is where we're going to end the televised portion of Good Morning Grenada. Before I go, I have one WhatsApp birthday greeting that I didn't get to when the app froze. So I'm going to say happy birthday to Lanta, and the greetings are coming from Alicia. Happy birthday, Lanta. Enjoy it to the fullest. And this is where we're going to close off. Thank you very much for joining us. Please continue to follow the COVID-19 protocols. Because of a little easement, no, not easement. We had that discussion in the early days of the pandemic. Not easement. Easement means something else. And because of an easing in the regulations does not mean we should drop our guards. You still need to be careful and cautious and obey the regulations. Wear your masks. Wash your hands using soap and water. If they're not readily available, hand sanitizer. 6 feet social distancing. We still have active cases over 600. We still have new cases added to the tally daily. We still have people people passing away because of COVID-19 related issues. So please continue to be safe. Those of you using public transportation, do what you need to do to stay safe in the midst of what just might be a crammed bus. Enjoy the rest of your wonderful Wednesday. We get ready to join the BBC for its 8 a.m. newscast. Bye-bye.
The croton scale insect, a new threat to our agricultural production, is now creating major damage to several plants. Mango, soursop, plums, guava, avocado and crotons are among the main ones affected. Excessive sooty mold, black blight, is associated with this pest. Take action now. Cut and burn infested fruits and shoots. Do not move infested materials to other areas. Treat with horticultural oils and recommended insecticides. Request assistance from the Ministry of Agriculture. Follow all safety protocols when burning trash or applying pesticides. A message from the Ministry of Agriculture.